Three, two, one.
Tonight's episode is rightly called Woke Selective Outrage for good reason. We're going to talk about Tucker Carlson's recently released unseen footage of what happened at the Capitol on January 6th. There's been tons of chatter about whether this footage is cherry-picked or was the 11-minute montage shown by the Democrats cherry-picked. Is this woke selective outrage? We're going to talk about it. Actor Bryan Cranston says MAGA hats are racist. Is this woke selective outrage? Also, a viral video has women outraged, showing a father saying he shouldn't be responsible for getting women pregnant with 7 kids because he didn't want them. Is this woke selective outrage? And comedians like Bill Maher and Chris Rock are pushing back against woke ideology on the left, but then still advocate and support the Democrat Party. Is this woke selective outrage? Buckle up, people. I have a group of ladies who are outraged and ready to unpack it all next. Hello, it's Wednesday and it's time for Pop and Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ and let me introduce you to my co-hosts. We have Shelly E, Yana, T, and back to co-host with us tonight is financial consultant Shonda Patterson. How are you ladies doing tonight?
Doing pretty well.
Good. All right. As I always say, join the conversation by leaving a comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. And don't just comment, subscribe. Subscribe to our social media so you always know when we post new content. Also, if you like independent media and want to support what we do, donate. Any amount is appreciated. You can check us out on our website at www.popandpoliticslive.com for up-to-date information. Again, we are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. All right, so share this video. Send it in a DM, post it on your social media, send it out, and comment throughout the night. We want to see you guys enjoy the conversation and join us. All right, ladies, before we get into our topics for tonight, this month, the month of March, is Women's History Month. And today is actually International Women's Day. So there have been all kinds of celebrations of women on social media and across the country. I myself want to celebrate you all. Today we celebrate women for their strength, endurance, selflessness, style, and grace. And take a look at Lizzo, how she celebrates. Yeah, and just in case you didn't hear it, see that too well, she pulled down her pants and she has on some type of thong bathing suit and she plays the flute and then yells, "Bitch!" And she keeps playing a little bit more and then she says, "Bitch!" So, this is kind of like a celebration of women, of Women's History Month. And then that doesn't stop there. Take a look at this celebration of Women's History Month.
My name is Faye Johnstone. I'm the Executive Director of Wisdom to Action. We can create a world where everyone is able to live in public space as their honest and authentic selves. See the woman changing how we see the future at Hershey's, Canada.
So again, celebration of International Women's Day. Just in case you didn't have your glasses on, and thought the candy bar said he, she, because that's a trans woman. It said her, she, and without the Y on the end, her, she, celebration for International Women's Month, but they have the spokesperson has a dick. So, that's how we celebrate. Yeah, that's what we do. Women, no, you don't have to have a womb. You have a man in woman face celebrating Women's History Month.
Yeah, so literally showing her fat ass.
Oh yeah,
showing her ass, literally, instead of just being known for her talent as playing a flute.
Right. She's awesome. I mean, she's a wonderful performer. She's very talented. She plays several instruments. She can sing. She can rap. She can write. But she chooses to pull down her pants to show her behind. This is where we are. So, happy International Women's Day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is offensive on so many levels, and especially Liz or whatever, like she's just stupid.
Gimmick.
And and the whole thing with a man celebrating women, it's I teach refugees English in America, and most of them are from. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And most of them are from Afghanistan, Afghan women. And they were they were celebrating today. They were all like saying Happy Women's Day to each other. And they come from a place where they are persecuted. They cannot get education. They cannot, they do not have rights. They can be hurt. They can be killed because of their DNA, of their body, not because of what they wear, but not because they choose to wear something, not because they choose to wear makeup. No, for what they are physically. So for a man to parade as a woman, that's so offensive to.
Yeah,
it is.
And I mean, on one end, America is just great, but on the other end, it's not, because we're kind of like the trendsetters for the rest of the world, I feel like. And so here we are showing our asses literally and not embracing like our culture instead of. So for example, women that come from I know plenty of women that come from other countries, and they get over here, they become Americanized, but they fall for this stuff. And they fall for women's rights, women's history, women's everything, but they celebrate the wrong aspects of it. The freedom and the liberalism of it.
Yeah. Well, we'll get right. Well, that's something I wanted to share just to open up the show tonight. But we have so much to get into, so we'll get right into it. Again, the title of the show is kind of Selective Outrage. We're starting off tonight with January 6th. So the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, handed over the unreleased footage of the January 6th protest to Tucker Carlson. So Monday and last night, he released his team's review. Take a look at this video.
Conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive. What did Jacob Chansley do to receive this punishment? To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us into the building.
Contrast the reality of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th, the industry.
All right. So again, that was Jacob Chansley, also known as the QAnon shaman. He got 4 years in prison, as he said. I want to start off with you tonight, Shelley. Kamala Harris and other Democrats have equated January 6th to Pearl Harbor, to September 11th, where we've seen 3,000 people die. And we can see clearly Chansley being helpfully escorted all around the interior of the Capitol by 2 or more Capitol police officers. So again, for 2 years, we've seen nothing but video of angry mobs and chaos pushed by the Democrats and the media. They called it a deadly insurrection. Now you've seen this. What are your thoughts?
I think this is what we call, or what I would call, outrage overload. This is nothing, again, Kamala Harris and other media and even politicians who have equated this to 9/11 and Pearl Harbor and other horrible events in our history. They are outrageous. They lie. What Tucker Carlson showed, again, his footage showed from the inside, which we haven't had a lot, maybe any of that footage. We've had a lot of the rioting that went on outside leading into the Capitol, but we didn't get this perspective. None of this would not have had to have happened if our politicians, left and right, the McConnell types and the Pelosi types, if they showed the whole footage to the American people from the beginning. We wouldn't have to have this conversation like this. They lie, or at least they omit a lot of information that the American people should have had from the beginning.
All right. I want to move on to you, Yana. U.S. Capitol Police Chief Thomas Manger ripped Fox News host Tucker Carlson on yesterday for spreading, and I quote, offensive and misleading conclusions about January 6th insurrection. He says the program conveniently cherry-picked from the calmer moments of our 41,000 hours of video. He also wrote to MSNBC News, the commentary fails to provide context about the chaos and violence that happened before or during these less tense moments. What's your response to that? Does he have a valid point?
Well, the 41,000 hours, most of it was nothing. It was like empty rooms. So yes, don't give me that there was something else there. No, there was not much going on outside of what they showed. So they picked something where you can actually see people walking around. So that is not factual. And didn't we have enough from the Democrats, or I mean from the media in the past? We have seen the more you would say more aggressive behavior from the outside. We have seen that. So why can't we see all of it? What was happening on the inside? Many people have said that the police was letting people in. So we just saw the proof of that. So that they were letting people in, they were not pushing them out necessarily, they were even helping them. So we have been saying that some sort of setup. Then one of the things that was not addressed, I guess this person hasn't addressed in his rebuttal, that what about when they cut the footage of senators leaving the Capitol, and the Democrats only showed one senator, Senator Josh Hawley, running away. They said that he ran out of the Capitol, when in reality all of them were leaving, and he was the last one to leave because they were told to leave the Capitol. So that was an actual lie by the January 6th committee, and really to mislead the public.
All right.
That's what we should be talking about.
All right. I want to go to you, T, because people are calling for all the tapes to be released, as Shelley had said earlier. But Officer Sicknick, that's the Capitol Police officer that died after that day, his family released a statement saying every time the pain of that day seems to have ebbed a bit, organizations like Fox rip our wounds wide open again, and we are frankly sick of it. Leave us the hell alone, end quote. Do you think all of the video needs to be released, or should we move on from this?
To be honest, I do think we should move on. I think that all of the lies have been told that can be told. We have these new videos now that is telling the story that we've been all telling the whole time. So at some point we should move on because it wasn't what they're saying it was. The lies are being exposed and revealed, and I think we should move on past this because now the Democrats they're holding this as a carrot over our head, like, oh, but January 6th happened. But now we're seeing that January 6th was kind of provoked or planned. So yeah, we should move on.
All right, Shonda, I want to get your thoughts on this. Do you agree, or do you feel that that people really overplayed this January 6th as a really bad situation, when in reality, after seeing these new tapes, it wasn't? Or do you believe, or do you agree that it was something that we should take seriously?
Well, I think the media has done what the media does, which is to exaggerate everything. I think sometimes we forget that media outlets are businesses as well. And their goal is to drive ratings, feed into what's going to continue to get people to look at their stations. And, with that, the January 6th incident is just one of those things that they use to play into everything that was going on at the time. Biden coming into office, Trump leaving, all the stuff that's going on. They're just using it to continue to drive ratings, to continue to push their agenda and continue to do whatever it is that they want to do. So I think that at this point, it's important for people to be able to see exactly what has happened. Unfortunately, the media handpicks it for us like we are imbeciles, or like we are not able to take in all of the information as it's being provided and spoon fed to us. And that's what happens when you spoon feed people information, because you get a little bit here and you get a little bit there, and you never get the full meal, right? And so now we're beginning to see some of the things that people have talked about from the very beginning. So I think this is a big, big play by the media and everyone to really just push their talking points and their own agendas.
All right. And last question, I'll open this up to the group, because we had even, Republican Mitch McConnell come out against this. He said he agreed with Capitol Police Chief Thomas Manager, who denounced Carlson for spreading, and again, offensive and misleading conclusions, is what he said about the insurrection. And he basically said he wants to associate himself with the Capitol Police officer, and he think it was a mistake what Tucker Carlson putting this out again and bringing it up.
These lies.
Oh, go ahead. Yep, that was what he said, and that was, of course, we know that was Democrat Chuck Schumer saying that they thought that Carlson should be deplatformed. You also had Republican Senator Kevin Cramer from North Dakota, who said he rejected Carlson's portrayal of that day. When you compare it to there were rowdy people there. We did see that played over and over again and again. So how do we reconcile this? I mean, where do we go from here?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One thing, it's not going to go away because like the left, the Democrats particularly, they want to keep using this to play on the public's emotions. Number one. Number two, we go forward by releasing the tapes, releasing all of them so that the American people can make up their own mind and draw their own conclusions, not what the left wants us to only have in our minds and our heads. So I disagree. I agree with McConnell in that he can choose whatever side he wants to. Okay. But the whatever his name, Captain or Corporal Manger, the officer and his team, they haven't given us the truth about Officer Sicknick's, may he rest in peace, his death either. Even the DC medical examiner said that cannot determine if that event caused his strokes, right? But we do, I think it was something worded that the events may have contributed, just the stress of the moment. But he was not murdered. It was a lie that he was beat in the head with a fire extinguisher. It was a lie that anybody at that rally accosted him or beat him about his head or whatever. That was a lie. That's what we were given initially. So how about McConnell and Schumer, all of them, sit down somewhere and release the tapes. We are American people. We're not dumb. We're not your subjects. We pay your taxes. Release the tapes and give us the information, and we can make up our own minds and have a bigger and better picture of what happened on January the 6th. And by no means was it a Pearl Harbor or 9/11 event.
Right.
Yeah, that was shameful. For them to even compare it to that was shameful. Again, as you mentioned, they tried to, yeah, it was shameful and it was offensive. Absolutely. So again, we'll continue to follow this story, and we want, I'm in agreement with you all. I believe they should release the tapes because, again, I know people want to get past this, but we have two things going on here. One, as you mentioned, Shelley, the Democrats are not going to let us get past this. They're going to continue to push their narrative. So we need to get the truth. And that's what we should be really, pursuing, the truth. And the only way to get the truth is to release all of the information so we can make our own determination as to what happened on January 6th. So again, we will continue to follow that story. I want to move on to kind of something along similar lines. The actor Bryan Cranston released, he was in an interview recently, and he was asked about MAGA hats. And take a look at what he said.
When I see the Make America Great Again, my comment is, do you accept that could possibly be construed as a racist remark? And most people, a lot of people go, how could that be racist? Make America great again? I said, so just ask yourself from an African-American experience, when was it ever great in America for the African-American? When was it great? So if you're making it great again, it's not including them. So it's to teach us in the woke world to open up and accept the possibilities that our privilege has created blind spots for us. And maybe I haven't seen what is really happening yet in all my years.
Well, thank you, Massa, for telling me that I haven't had a good life. Thank you, Massa. It's never been too good for me, old blacker here. Thank you, Massa. What was that? I want to get your thoughts, Shelley. Do you agree with him? I mean, he has to tell us that Black Americans, that it hasn't been great? Is this what MAGA hats mean?
Hotel November. I said I was going to stop cursing. Hotel November. I do not believe or agree with him. Who the heck is he, again, to tell me, when it's good for Black people? Right now, it's good for me. It's been good since I've been born. Okay, is America flawless? No, it's not. But Bryan Cranston, you and your types, your lefty types, you always want to go to this racist trope. Is that all you think about me or Black people? That's the only thing that comes to their mind. Has it been good for African American or Black people? Who are you to determine my existence or what's good for me? You don't get to do that, okay? I can tell you as an American, as a Black American, to poot. Yeah, I was going to say something else, but I'm going to be ladylike today. To poot you, okay? F you and your types. I'm sick of these racist tropes. That's all they think of Black people, that we are not even elevated or maybe intelligent or have the wherewithal enough to be beyond anything racist that they define for us. So we're supposed to just fall in line with what they say. Bull freaking crap, okay, Bryan Cranston? Bull crap. You're a good actor. We love Breaking Bad, but you are broke wrong over here.
I want to get your thoughts, T, because we're from the north, north of the Mason-Dixie line. So maybe we're just don't know what's going on as Black people. You a Southern belle. Talk to us. Make America great again. Is that what you thought? What he said? You agree?
So first of all, only slaves are still slaves. So we're not going to speak for all Black people, Mr. White Man, about how we feel. And then secondly, when has history ever or society ever had a great record? His society has always had a dismal record. I always say this, like nothing has ever been great. But if we're looking at Make America Great Again, the first thing that I think as a free liberated woman is that Black woman is that we have this great country that we've slipped because people are crazy now since the pandemic. Let's get this back to rolling where America can be on top again.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on this, Shonda. You know, do you find these hats offensive, and you feel like that slogan means something more than what Trump has said it to be?
I just think that people make something out of nothing. And first and foremost, I was just really offended that he wanted to say what offends Black people. How in the right? How do you know? You can't tell me what's offensive to me. I honestly, when I see a MAGA hat, I think of a Trump supporter, somebody that has to be racist, that needs to be,
I think we lost you for a minute, Shonda. Can you repeat that?
People stuff. Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you now, but you're going in and out. Oh, there it is. You're back now.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure what was happening. Okay, thank you. I apologize. I was just saying that when I think
it's white supremacy.
When I think of a MAGA hat, I just think of doesn't necessarily have to mean that they're racist. It doesn't necessarily mean, it means that you, just like if you wear a hat that says Baltimore Ravens, you're a supporter of that particular team, you like that particular thought. I mean, when you wear a Make America Great Again hat, to me, that just means that you are a supporter of some of the things that maybe he says, right? I just can't stand when someone else that doesn't look like me wants to tell me what offends me. Can you tell me how you would know that? When have you ever had to walk in my shoes?
Because that one Black person that they have as their friend, because they have a Black friend, told them.
Oh yeah, and they know how it is for every.
And not all Black people, right?
Black person. Yeah.
I get your thoughts on this, Yana, as from an immigrant perspective, coming in, international perspective, coming into this country. When you saw that slogan, did it mean what you thought it meant? What he said, what Bryan Cranston said?
No, not at all. And I did notice, it was funny to me that these were two white men talking about African American experience as if they know. I mean, yeah, like what is it, and why putting people as a group? Like if you wanted, every person has a different experience. So by saying that's already racist. By saying that everybody has the same experience. So no, I think the slogan "Make America Great Again," what it sounds to someone from other countries, it may sound the reputation of America around the world. So the problem right now, and what I see especially right now during Biden's administration, is that America does not have the same reputation. People do not see America as great, unfortunately, around the world right now. So that slogan really means make America be respected again, strong again, moral again. I mean, I hope, and that's what I see, that people from not just in America but around the world can look up towards America for inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when you contrast the hat and the idea of Make America Great Again to what Obama did when he was in office. I remember it clearly, where he went around the world on an apology tour, apologizing for American greatness. Do you guys remember that? When he was going all over the world and nobody said anything. He was okay to do that. But when Trump comes out with these hats, just talking about we want to be, on top again, America. I mean, he didn't say make white people great again. He didn't say make the suburbs great again. It's America. Are we not all Americans?
Right,
yeah.
right.
And this is the mentality. Sorry, this is the mentality that keeps Black people oppressed, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And it's coming from white people, white liberals, not white people, white liberals. And they're going to be the ones that are trying to keep Black people dumb and down. But they're the ones that say that.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say, you notice that they almost never have people like us on their panel. Chris Wallace looked like an idiot sitting there, stone faced, didn't know what to say. He should have interjected and countered him to ask him some follow up questions, but he let him go on and on to nowhere, to meaningless, to basically it was insulting, if you will, to Black people by large. But they never had people like us there because we would blow their narrative.
Check them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, they do this, the left, and as T mentioned, white liberals, they do this because this keeps Black people under their thumb. Because then they say, you guys are looked at as the lower man on the totem pole, as not American. You need our help. We are the ones that can help you. Government assistance needs to help you. And they keep us on that government tick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, great conversation, ladies. I want to talk about that and get your thoughts. So thank you. So again, if you are watching tonight, please hit that subscribe button, like this broadcast, share it with your liberal friends. Maybe they want to get a different. They want to get a different perspective, and if they do disagree, we love to have you on the show. We always have an open door policy. We love to talk. We love to discuss these conversations and topics. It's what we are. What makes us
intellectually, not emotionally.
Right.
Bring the facts, please.
Yes, indeed. And so again, we are online at on YouTube at Pop and Politics. You can also find us on the web at popandpoliticslive.com. Yes, popandpoliticslive.com, and share this broadcast. All right, so we're going to change gears a little bit here and talk about this viral video that has made its rounds over the last couple of weeks. Here we have a dad who is talking about how he does not believe he needs to take responsibility for these children he's had with these women. Take a look.
I got 7 kids and 7 baby mamas. Now, for the past few days, I've been going live telling my story, speaking my truth. And a lot of women having an issue calling me a deadbeat because I tell them I was being irresponsible, yet not wearing protection. But I always tell these women that I got pregnant that I do not want to be a father to these children. And I offer to pay for the abortion. Majority of times, they'll either take the abortion or they'll take a plan B. But only these 7 have kept these children. But the crazy thing about it is they want me to be responsible for some children I told them I did not want. So for some years now, some of them been trying to get in contact with me, access denied, because I don't really know why you're trying to get in contact with me. I done told you I did not want them kids. So don't expect me to be responsible financially, emotional, spiritually, mentally, or physically with some kids I do not want. And I don't give a when nobody think about it. You're not going to force children up on me. Yeah, we both made the decision to lay down and have intercourse. We both was irresponsible about the decisions we made that night. Yeah, I could have pulled out, but I didn't. And I ain't care to pull out because I'm not the one that's going to have to carry a baby for 9 months. It's the woman. In my opinion, women should be more careful on who they sleep with. Because you're going to be like, one of my baby mamas trying to find me so I can financially support a kid I didn't told her or them I did not want. Another thing is, these just jump offs. These are the type of women that I ain't even had to do nothing for. The bare minimum, but they gave me access to their body and they think I want to be a father to a child for one of them? Wait, I don't even have no type of love for these women. How do they expect me to love these children? Before y'all say, oh, he irresponsible, he a deadbeat, he don't take accountability. Yeah, I do. I just don't give a f. You ain't gonna force these children on me when I told you I ain't want them. Yeah, I can offer to pay for abortion, but at what point can I force a woman to go get an abortion? I cannot. A woman say, my body, my choice, but I say, it's my life, my choice. Before y'all try to stitch this shit, be like, black man this, black man that, I don't give a f. I really don't.
All right. So a lot to unpack. I want to start off with you, Shonda. One, what percentage of men do you believe think and act like him? And then what are your thoughts on what he said?
Oh, there's plenty. Oh, there's plenty of men that think exactly like him and they just don't say anything because they don't want the backlash. And to be honest, I think I could see how someone could have that point of view. I mean, honestly, it is both people's responsibility, to make sure that they are not having sex with people who, they don't even know each other is what he's saying. He's saying, I ain't even have to do anything to really get in her pants. And they have to be having unprotected sex because he's talking about pulling out. So that's another issue in and of itself, right? So then you have that. And then the fact that he's telling them up front, listen, I don't want this baby. Here's some money. You go take care of it. And if the man is saying to you that he does not want the baby, at what point do you think he's going to come around just because the baby is here? I think that is a lot. I do think he has a responsibility. Yep, they both are trash. I agree, right? He has a responsibility because he laid down with her, but she knew what it was. He didn't hide it. He didn't say, maybe I'll take care of the baby after you have it. It doesn't sound like he showed up at the baby shower. Doesn't sound like he held her leg at the hospital. It don't sound like he did any of those things. So now to think that he's now going to step up and do something, it's kind of asinine. He didn't do anything all the time. So I don't necessarily agree that is how he's handling things as a man, but just like it's that woman's right to have the baby, even though he disagrees, it's his right to say, well, I don't want to.
All right. I want to move on to you, T. If he doesn't want kids, why doesn't he have a vasectomy?
Because he doesn't want to. His body, his choice. I mean, these are the things that, he said a few, he had a few points there. The woman's always saying, my body, my choice, but they're not protecting themselves. They're not using wise decisions when they're sleeping with these types of men. I'm sure this wasn't a new thing before you have to have sex in order to get pregnant. We all know that. Before they get pregnant, they're having sex. And I'm sure this guy is practically an idiot. So I'm sure he's not saying, oh, let's get married before they have sex. I'm sure he's not. I'm sure this is information that some women can use to discernment and tell that he's trash. So these are the type of situations where women need to use their body and their choice to make wise decisions. So you can't blame him. You can't blame him or any man that thinks like this. Women.
So you feel like he doesn't have any responsibility for these children?
He has responsibility. No. I don't think he has responsibility for the children because he told them up front. But he did lay down with them. But so did she. These are women's bodies. We have the control over our bodies, who we lay down with.
So let me ask you this though. So because to me it's like, let's say you want to buy a car. You buy a car and you need someone to co-sign. And so let's just say you have someone co-sign. And so the person who co-signed doesn't drive the car. They're not in the car. They don't use the car every day generally. They're just co-signing for the vehicle. So to me, it's similar to this situation where a woman is pregnant. So she's driving the car. She holds the car. She holds the baby. But she has a co-signer, this guy. So he has responsibility. If she neglects, doesn't pay the bill, it goes back to the co-signer. Wouldn't you use the same kind of knowledge for a man and a woman, whether you want responsibility or not? Once you slept with the woman, once you co-signed,
you are a co-sign situation.
To the car, the baby.
You directly have the decision as a woman to sleep with him or not. There's no one that's co-signing telling you in your ear to lay down with this man. So I don't understand the relation with that, because the baby is the car. I'm not gonna invest in a car nor a co-signer if I know that that's a bad decision.
Well, you wouldn't have the car without the co-signer.
Right. I don't need a co-signer. I can get the bus or a Bob or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to sleep with some man trash like this when I know that he's trash.
Right, we know this, but I want to bring you in on this, Yana. I want to bring you in on this. Do you feel that these men have no blame, no part in this? He's rightfully to say, since he was honest with this woman and said that he doesn't want kids and he's a deadbeat. She slept with him anyway. She got pregnant. He has no responsibility.
Well, morally, he does. Morally and as ethically, he does have responsibility. And he is trash. He is something that women, all women should be aware of someone like this. And this kind of video should be shown at every sex educator, teacher should be showing this to young women. Every social worker should be showing this video over and over to young women, because this is common, and this is someone is just it's so this type of man has existed for centuries, and he exists in every country, and of course he doesn't care. He's trash. He has no conscience. So yeah, we can't hold him accountable because he does not have any conscience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but what about holding the woman accountable though?
Yeah.
You know, because it just like behooves me. Like, I mean, I get it. You know, with a woman, it's our body, it's our choice. But a lot of times in the choices that some women are making, they're taking away the man's choice. So he doesn't have any choice as to whether or not, because he already told her, my choice is I don't want to have this baby.
I want to lay down with you though.
Yeah, I want to lay down with you.
But don't you assume the risk? Don't you assume the risk when you lay down with anybody? There's several things you assume. You assume there may be pregnancy. You assume that you make it an STD. All of these things.
So So this idea of accountability, I've heard, you all talk about this. Yes, this woman is responsible. Yes, he's a piece of trash, and he does have moral, legal, and financial responsibility. Now, does that mean it makes it right or is justified? No, it does not. These are called consequences. There's always a possibility. I don't care if a man straps it down 10 times. When one little freaking sperm gets out and it's at the right time of the month, the woman's going to get pregnant. Okay. So that's always a possibility. I don't care how much sex ed, how much you try to protect it. That's always a possibility. So that child, again, my focus is always going to go to the child. I don't give two rats twits about the adults and whatever screw and orgasm they got during the process. The child is still entitled to a father and a mother. Now, can't force him to be there in person, but he's legally and morally responsible and financially responsible. I don't care how much of a trashy she may have been. Now, he came around at least 7 times. Okay. So literally, these women are at fault. Don't get me wrong. But I think also it's accountability. This is also, to me, a lack of men over time upholding their end in society, to be mentors, to be groomers. Oh my God, let me take that. Fathers, not groomers, to be disciplinarians, to train and teach other boys and men what men are supposed to be. This is a fault of the men as well as the women. It takes 2. Again, 1 + 1 in this case equals 3. Stop saying I'm tired of us talking about people should not be held accountable, but yet we're supposed to be the conservative ones who talk about accountability. They are both wrong. Are they both trash? Yes. But guess what? There's a baby here. There's 7 of them. And I'm sick of taking care of everybody else's children. I'm sick of it. I want to take care of my own. I do take care of my own. I'm sick of it. My taxes going to people, to what we call bastard or illegitimate children for the adults. I'm sick of it. Take care of your own children or strap it up until you get married. These 7 women, they need to be lined up and smacked, but so does this man. He needs to be smacked a few times from different people up and down his face. Where's Will Smith when you need him?
I agree. Accountability. Accountability, right? But the elephant in the room too is that some women use this as a means to trap a man, right? Mm-hmm. So, it could possibly be sometimes when a man makes it known that they don't want a child, that they, and a lot of times, I mean, if you want to be honest, men may talk about that before intercourse. They don't want kids. They don't want to have children. Yes. Hey, I already got 7. I don't want no more. He might have. These are things that he may have alluded to before they even ever laid down together. And now that it's happening, it's like, oh no, so I definitely think both people need to take accountability. I think women do need to use, it's a little shaky sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, this is what happened when we're out of order, when this chaos. The order of things is, and I posted something about this on my social media earlier today. We as a society are having sex without commitment and commitment without marriage, because everything is out of order. And so when you get out of order like this, this kind of stuff happens. There's no purpose. Men are supposed to be fathers. They're supposed to be the leaders of the family. And so when women are out here having sex with these men without commitment, then they lack accountability. And again, I agree with what many of you said. I do think that I honestly think they're equally at fault.
I do too. Look, there used to be a time we laugh at this, or some of us mock it. There used to be a time when it was shotgun weddings, right? And people stayed together because they had children, whether or not their marriage or relationship was, romantic or whatever. But they knew they had a commitment to that child. That child had a right to both parents, and they stayed together. Of course, you had a lot of times you had the larger family in the community that supported that. But we don't have that anymore. We don't have that anymore. And I think shotgun weddings are maybe we need to bring them back because, again, I'm tired of taking care of other people's children.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will continue to follow this. We do this a lot, talk about these types of relationship topics. And I think it's good to talk about it from a conservative perspective because that's not often given in this liberal leftist leaning climate. So we will continue to talk about it. I want to move on to Chris Rock, not just Chris Rock, but this idea of certain celebrities coming out against wokeism. So recently we have seen some celebrities start to push back against this woke ideology. Celebrities on the left. We had from Woody Harrelson pushing back against COVID lockdowns and mandates to Bill Maher pushing back against identity politics on the woke left. And just this last weekend, Saturday, Chris Rock was here in Baltimore and he had, came out with his Netflix special. Yes, Selective Outrage. And he talked about a lot of things on the left, this woke mentality too, that is ruining society. So I want to get you guys' thoughts. Everybody saw this Chris Rock special. What are your thoughts on this? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What are your thoughts? I want to start with you, Shelley.
I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. It was funny. I laughed. I cried. I agreed. I disagreed. It was the whole emotional gamut. I loved Chris Rock. I think he was, I guess what you call it, in his prime element or in his element. He did a great job, and I think there was much more to his show than just the comedy.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. We did, being here in Baltimore, there was a lot of pushback from the city. Some people felt like he kind of used Baltimore because he had this, Jada Pinkett Smith is originally from Baltimore, and he used our location to kind of really stick it to her. I want to talk about what this woman said. Yes, this is Dionne Joyner-Ween. She wrote the next morning, she's from Baltimore. She's a CEO and founder of the Audacity Group. She says, the next morning I was ready to fight. This was about when after watching Netflix.
Definitely from Baltimore.
She said, I felt emotionally raw, embarrassed. I couldn't understand where all the self-defensive energy was coming from, and it hit me. Chris Rock's special was very personal. Baltimore was just an innocent bystander. He didn't come to my city to leave people feeling good. He didn't come to my city because he values us as an audience. Chris Rock came to bring the pain and shit in Jada Pinkett's backyard. Personally, Baltimore doesn't need that kind of energy or distraction. But if his performance brought him the much needed peace he needs and deserves, then, to quote the comedian himself, touche, N-word, touche. Thoughts on that, T?
Not really. I don't have any thoughts on that because it wasn't really, I mean, yeah, it may have been a jab to Jada Pinkett, but Baltimore is, it is what it is. It's not that type of situation where we have to get so offensive about everything. To me, Chris Rock, it wasn't funny. He wasn't funny. And he brought up some points that was kind of interesting, but it was very bland. Like, if anything, I'm offended that he came here with that trash of a show.
Oh, all right. Shonda, did you, feel the same way? Did you get a chance to watch it show?
I actually did watch it and I laughed. I was cracking up. I thought it was actually funny. I thought that he had some, real things jabbed in with his actual usual comedy. I thought he was hilarious. I mean, I feel like if he was making a jab at Jada Pinkett Smith, so what? Everybody else gets a chance to be petty. He ain't say nothing all that time. Will and smacked him, said all this stuff, did all this stuff. He ain't say nothing. Why can't so if he being petty, let him be petty? Oh well, like what I mean. I don't really. I think everybody takes things too personally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is what it is,
Yeah.
I did find it to be funny. I found some parts, not that I agree with everything about it, but some stuff was just downright funny. When did comedy have to become so serious all of a sudden? Like comedy is comedy. They make fun of everything all the time. And it used to be a time where you could actually just laugh because it's funny. Everything wasn't so daggum serious, So
Right. Exactly. I think he also talking about Jada Pinkett's backyard. Remember, the Mayor Brandon Scott was in the audience, and he made a joke I thought was brilliant as well, funny to say the least, about Cherry Hill and the different places where he wanted to go buy coke, but he wouldn't go there because they're like the same place. So, and Mayor Scott was right there, and I thought about what, Cherry Hill is one of the Mayor Scott's safe streets, promenade or whatever, and I said, in your face, good.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, Yana? Did you think it was funny, or are you thinking that T doesn't have a good sense of humor?
No, I agree with T. It was okay. It had some funny parts. I think the Will Smith's skit, I think that was the funniest. So that one I enjoyed the most. The stuff like in the first 30 minutes, it was like the same kind of jokes, the same like a very racially black, white kind of thing, and something he said something about what did he say about Republicans or something like that, or white people feel like they're losing the country to black people. What? We have said this on the show many times that we feel like we're losing the country, and not everyone here is white, obviously, so we don't think that we're losing the country we're losing the country to wokeism. We're losing the country to corruption. We're losing the country to so many disorganization. And no, he has to bring up this this black and white thing. It's so last century.
Do you think that you're the white people that he was speaking about?
Sorry?
Do you think that you're the white people that he was speaking about? White people feel like they're losing the country?
No, I don't know who he was speaking about, because I have heard the same rhetoric, we're losing the country, not just from white people. So for him to say that only white people are saying that, that's bringing up this whole racial strife that is still happening. And
comedy does not have to
be. That's a part of what comedy's supposed to be.
Comedy should be politically incorrect.
But I'm just saying, it was kind of like an old material. That's what it felt like. So when it got to the more recent stuff that he was talking about, the pop culture, and the whole Will Smith thing, of course he did a great job on that.
But what was he supposed to say? He's talking to a black audience for the most part.
Well,
and he's in Baltimore, where you have predominantly leftists and black people, so he's going to make jokes that resonate with the audience, right? He is not going to be in there talking about stuff that is it relevant to them. You did see some people in the audience who weren't maybe laughing, they were looking a little shifty with their eyes, maybe they didn't agree with some of the stuff, but you gotta
but that's what comedy's supposed to do. Good comedy should do that.
Well, that's one thing I want to talk about, because he did
the same jokes though. He's been saying the same jokes since 1980.
Good comedy should make you not just think about
that's
other
not
people.
Good comedy.
Think about
no,
yourself.
but one thing he did talk about was this whole idea of victim mentality. So he was poking fun at Meghan Markle, saying, when she talked about how she was, she felt she was a victim of racism, being married to the royal family. And I thought that was actually funny. He talked about that. And that's what I wanted to get into, because he did poke fun at this type of woke ideology. Similarly, Bill Maher in this interview. Take a look at this interview with Bill Maher.
It's this collection of ideas that are not building on liberalism, but very often undoing it. I mean, 5 years ago, Abraham Lincoln was not a controversial figure among liberals. We liked him. Now they take his name off schools and tear down his statues. Really? Lincoln isn't good enough for you? 5-10 years ago, bedrock liberalism was, we are striving to be a colorblind society where we don't see race. Of course, we see it, but it doesn't matter. That's not what woke is. Woke is something very different. It's identity. We see it all the time. It's always the most important thing. I don't think that's liberalism. I mean, I could mention so many issues like that. I remember doing that show on HBO, Comic Relief for the Homeless. And the idea then, again, among liberals, I thought was, for the sake of compassion, can we get these people off the street so they have a roof over their heads? And now it's like, how dare you try to move the homeless? This is where they live. It's like, again, you change the definitions and then you say, I'm more conservative. I believe what I've always believed. You change these things and then you yell at me.
All right. So, I mean, are we at the beginning of the end of wokeism? Is this an anti-woke rebellion that we're seeing here? He's not the only one pushing. And again, they're not conservative, but there is a difference between this woke ideology and traditional liberalism. And, it sounds like these liberals are getting sick of this woke ideology. What are your thoughts there? Just from what Chris Rock's, a lot of his stand-up was about this woke ideology.
What is, just to clarify, what is this wokeism and woke ideology?
Well, it's the idea that everything has to do with race, and that, this intersectionality of feminism, racism, trans and LGBT issues.
It's identity politics.
Right,
basically.
identity politics, and they become one, and then they are pretty much going after the white man or anything that's not person of color, POC.
And that we have to see color. Like he also mentioned that as liberals, we were taught, and we kind of were raised not seeing the differences, seeing people for who they are. And now we have to look at the person, like with the other guy the other video we watched, where he said the African American experience. So you look at a Black person, for example, and you assume what that person must have experienced based on
simply because he's Black.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Whereas, again, traditional or classic, what is called classical liberalism, we talk about, they really uphold and honor the values that we, generally speaking, as conservatives uphold: truth, justice, morality, things like that, beauty. So those are traditional liberal values, which is why I have been trying for years, and I still do it, but to make a distinction between leftism, i.e. wokeism, versus liberalism. Most conservatives can tend to put them under one thing. They're not, particularly when you get down to some really important details. But having said that, I don't know if this is much as a rebellion yet, KJ. I do appreciate that there are, and interestingly enough, the comedians are leading the way against this pushback. Like you mentioned, Bill Maher, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock to some degree. The comedians are leading the charge, to me, pushing back against this wokeism, leftism, because comedy is there for all of us. Comedy touches on everybody. Comedy can't be sensitive to one group versus another. It's supposed to be a collective format where we all find maybe some piece of experience that we can relate to and laugh about it. That's what good comedy is.
I think that's why the comedians are the first to push back, because they're losing their art. They're losing their money. They lose their livelihood because everyone is so easily offended from everything that they can't even do real, true comedy. And then when they try, it's not funny because they're tiptoeing around these crazy people. But it doesn't really stop there. I've noticed even in my personal network that people are starting, like, people used to hate the things that I say, but now they're coming around, like, in public. Like, before it was like in my DMs or to the side, like, Taria, I believe you, I agree with you. But now in public, they'll announce, well, I agree with these things that you're saying. And I'm like, oh, I'm not public enemy number one anymore.
Right. I mean, when you look at comedians, I mean, it's a tough job. You know, people don't give comedians, you know, their due. I mean, it's a tough job. A lot of them are very smart. You know, it's not just getting up on stage and talking. It's putting in, you know, you have to use a lot of intelligence and actually creating these jokes. And it's a tough job. And they, just like Chris Rock talked about in his special, this victim mentality. You know, he made the joke about how now, you know, people, instead of working hard and getting promoted on your job, now all you have to do is find something that somebody said that's offensive and get them fired. So nobody wants to work anymore. It's just, you know, who can outwoke the other person, or who can find somebody that's saying something offensive or triggering that they can get them fired.
Mm-hmm. And it's led by these the alphabet people. They're the main ones that are going hard on comedians.
And one of the values, the classical liberal conservative values that comedians by and far uphold, is the right to free speech, to say whatever the hell you want. So they are epitome of that, and they are demonstrating, leading the pack, that we're going to say what we want to say. Whoever is offended, be damned, whatever.
One thing I want to talk about, bring it back to the Baltimore idea about him doing this in Baltimore, is, you know, you did have some Baltimoreans, specifically single moms, who said that when he was talking about his daughters, it did come off as elitist. He was making, like, he kept referring to, you know, his black daughters, you know, his daughters are not, you know, typical black girls. And so some people felt like, you know, okay, so what's wrong with a typical black girl? Did you guys catch that at all?
Yeah, and I was fine with it. It is elite. I mean, I wouldn't call it elitism. It's just, he said that they're rich. So that's a different lifestyle from poor people. If you're poor, just say it. Like, you know, if you have children growing up in a certain status, then this is a typical conversation.
Right. And I think maybe it was elitist, but he's telling you, again, we talk about telling you up front, right? He's telling you up front that Lola and Zara ain't going to be seen with no daggone crack addict in Cherry Hill. So,
okay. I mean,
whoever is complaining about his comedy, they're playing into what he said, that you know, people like to be victims. He said it on his show, so they're just playing into it. Mm-hmm. He can just make another skit about them.
Hit dogs always holler.
Yeah, they're just upset. They're upset because they can't send their daughters to the same schools and provide the same. I mean, but people are so easily offended. And, you know, that's the other part about being so woke. Right? Everything is so freaking offensive. You know, like, when did it not just become okay for him to say what's going on in his lifestyle? Like, he's talking about what's happening in his life. I mean, his daughters go to the best schools. They do this and they do that. Just like any of us talk about our children. He could talk about his kids, but you mad because you don't have, your kids don't have the same opportunities that his kids does. Well, then level up. You know, get your right. Mad. You know, like, I just don't get it. You know, and like he said, everyone has this victim mentality where everything is about status, everything is about race, right? The whole Meghan Markle, you know, that always drove me crazy. I always say to my husband, like, listen, can't somebody just not like somebody just because they don't like them? Well,
no, not anymore. Not anymore.
People I don't like that look like me. I just like them. And they got nothing to do with the fact that they black too. I don't like them. I wouldn't like them if they was another color them orange, and I still wouldn't like them, right? You know, and some people, you just don't like them. Could it be that they just don't like her? Maybe she got some things going down. They just don't care for the girl, right? It don't matter what color she is. You know, I think that whole idea of bringing out the fact that people like to play victim, it was absolutely golden. And where some of it was funny, some of it was, in my opinion, speaking against this whole ideology of tribalism. Everybody got to think the same way, feel the same way, do the same things.
specifically the abortion topic.
Yes,
I
was
love the
gonna
fact
bring
that
it
he
up.
called out that, yeah, you know, you have your choice, whatever, but you're still killing babies. Like, you're baby
Right. And
killers.
I wanted to say
kind
that
of
that was really smart. Like I thought that part was really smart but demonic at the same time. So
That's
they
what it is.
well, he started off demonic because the way it came off. Like, I mean, what he said was actually really disturbing. I'm not saying he should have not said it, but just the way that he said it and how the audience reacted. So when he said something like, "Well, women should have a choice," and everyone clapped and everyone cheered, and then he said, "Needs to have a choice to kill their babies." And so that was really telling that the whole that whole theater basically clapped for killing babies.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
That's
was
what abortion is.
right, but
I don't know if those people really realize what they're clapping
that's
for.
what it was. I've seen comedians use this line before with the abortion, you killing babies, but it worked better. It made people. It was funnier, and it made people realize, oh my God, I'm killing babies. But in this one, when he did it, he didn't dwell so much on that. And so that's what it made it come off as he was okay with killing babies. Usually when the comedians talk about it, you come out with, oh my God, I actually said that. Or, as a person thinking about yourself doing that, it's like, oh my God, it is actually killing babies. That's disgusting. The way he did it, it didn't come off as like he was.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree that why would he have to soften that up? Because it is killing babies. I don't know if you're talking about his delivery or the way he said it, but it doesn't matter because it is what it is. Like, yeah, you have the choice to kill babies. Why not just say it? You guys are
That's
saying,
why it's demonic, because he actually
it's
came out
demonic.
saying
That's
that
real life.
because he said that he is okay with
Right.
it. That's why it's demonic.
Yeah,
It's
usually
not
when
like
the comedians say
So
that
is everyone else who's pro-abortion, who's
usually
pro-choice.
when the comedians say that joke, it's obvious that they're joking. Like, it's
You guys are being
obvious.
you're having double standards here because you're saying, the comedians can say whatever they want, but you're saying, but say it in a nicer way. Like,
No, I have a
you're
point about that.
contradicting yourself.
I'm not
So
saying.
I think.
Go ahead.
Let me say, I think what I thought about that segment was that, number one, you walked away, you didn't know his politics for sure. You weren't sure, which is totally fine for me, because too many times, at least in recent times, people are hemmed up because of their politics, artists, whomever, actors, whomever, because we know their. I don't need to know your politics if you're acting on the screen. Bryan Cranston, I just want to see your art and your talent. I don't care about your politics. Those are your personal options. That's number one. Number two, he was in Baltimore, of course, but who has abortion hurt, I would say, the most, if you will? Mostly Black people, the Black community. So they had to be left with a thought for their own mind. I don't know if Chris Rock is for or anti-abortion, but I do know the way he left it could have, and I hope it did, it left a lot of people in that audience thinking, at least from that day forward, they're going to think about the choices that they make, or that they may rethink that they wanted for their children to have.
See, and I took it the same way. I took it as, first and foremost, he was opening people's eyes to exactly what it is. It's killing babies, right? And even though he said it in such a way, he did say he agrees with killing babies. But then he went on to talk about how he agrees to killing them until they get their first report card. Like, he made it into this whole joking segment. So even though he had very serious topics, he found a way to bring some light, make it a little bit light, right? So like Shelly said, you don't really know what his views are. And although he did say kill babies, I don't want no babies, I got a punch card. He turned it into more jokes, right? And so, I think that
he dug deep, though.
He was getting people to think about what having an abortion really means. And he did so in a way that's not going to get him canceled. I mean, because let's be real, he starts talking about some stuff, being against some stuff, being for some stuff, he gonna get canceled. So he did it in such a way where he was able to say these things without maybe getting a lot of heat from either side. He was able to make both sides of the coin maybe a little bit more happy with his delivery of it, is what I got from it.
Isn't that a failure, though, for comedians? I mean, are comedians supposed to make one side mad or it makes or everybody mad? Isn't that kind of playing the line, towing the line?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of emotions you can go through. I think a good comedy makes you have a lot of emotions. And again, like I said earlier, it doesn't necessarily make you look at the other. Ultimately, it makes you look inward to say, what part of this piece do I identify with, or at least I can think about. It took me through a lot of emotions. Again, I liked it. I laughed. I was a little nostalgic when he was talking about how he was so fond of Will Smith. I can identify that. It's like I felt like I grew up with Will Smith too. So I had a little tear for that part. And then I, laughed. I didn't agree with some of the things about the abortion, but I certainly couldn't laugh at that segment. Ultimately, again, he did it in a way where you were left thinking, regardless of what side of the issue you were on, and you still don't know his true politics.
I think that's the beauty of the art of comedy, because if you look at it, comedy is you're laughing at your pain. You're laughing at the things that we all know but don't want to speak out in public about, and when they're finding a way to make it laughable. And then there are also intellectual aspects of it. Like you have to think. You're thinking about, oh wow, it's not just certain things that are nostalgic, but it's like, oh well, they're bringing out issues and situations that make people think about current topics, politics, those types of things. So that's the beauty of it.
Do you think Jaden will laugh?
Who cares? They're only two people.
They should have.
Will laughed at his joke initially before he slapped him. So,
by the way, I mean, I don't think that we walked away not knowing his stances. I mean, I think it was pretty obvious what some of his stances were, including the abortion one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he just said how it is, but he's okay with it.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think, I mean, that particular.
So is everyone who's pro-choice.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I guess, I mean, I can't say that it was neutral, and that particular part was not funny, and it was not pleasant.
But do you really think that those are his actual views, or could it just be in the sake of comedy? I mean, I think a lot about like older comedian, or you think about Bernie Mac. He used to talk about slapping his nieces and nephews, calling them names, the little mamas and stuff like that, right? And back then, it wasn't that I don't think any of us ever thought that he was going home and smacking the kids around and saying these things to the kids, right? It was some things he may have thought, right? And he wasn't actually acting out on them, but he also wasn't getting canceled for saying them.
Exactly.
These days you have to. It's almost like, even though comedians try their best to be uncensored and really not,
they're jokes.
They're jokes. At the end of the day, right? They may not be their true values, and I'm not saying that they're his
we
or
don't
not.
know. Ultimately, we don't know, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
it's a show. It's entertainment.
There's always a little truth in every joke.
That's the truth.
Yeah, there's a little
but
truth.
It's entertainment also. We can't forget about that.
Oh yeah. Well, you said you weren't entertained.
No, I said he wasn't funny.
Oh, what was he up there for then?
It's the difference between entertaining and funny. You can be an entertainer but not be funny. You can be a singer but not know how to sing.
Like Beyonce.
Yeah, but what did you find entertaining? What he's
the whole act. I mean, there are
you were there for the
times that I chuckled. What?
You were there for the scenery.
No, I was there for the entertainment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much, ladies. Great conversation.
Wait a minute. We didn't talk about the Will and Jada segment. This is the end of the show? I'm sorry. Wow.
It's nothing to say about it. He said what he said. He's been waiting.
If you have some, I was going to say, definitely. I said what do you think Will and Jada was? Were they funny? But I mean, we can talk about that. I mean, he called her a bitch. I thought that was like, wow.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
He was waiting a whole year to get that out.
You could tell though, he was like, I think he realized when he said that, he was like, oh, he got. But this was the live show, so they couldn't edit anything out. But he did call her a bitch.
Yeah. Now Yana said she thought that was the funniest part. I thought that was maybe the least funniest part. I think for me, it was funny. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it, but I think he was a little too heavy on the Jada, because I was thinking too literally, because I'm like, Will is the one that actually slapped you, right? So, I mean, I get the frustration. I get, you want to vent out, and I'm thinking, why don't you focus a little bit more heavily on Will? I thought it was funny. Don't get me wrong.
He always takes jabs at Jada, though. This is nothing new.
That's true. That's a good point.
And she was the catalyst. I mean, everybody thinks was behind it, the whole thing. And, we talked about this in the past.
I think it was smart of him to say that Jada hurt Will a lot more than Will hurt Chris. Because I think maybe he just, as a man, he feels hurt for what's going on with Will and what Will has been dealing with, and that this whole craziness of being interviewed by your wife after.
Oh my gosh! Now that was priceless. He said everybody in here has been cheated on, but you ain't never been interviewed on TV by the person who did it.
What do you think about that?
And then I think that he had to go harder on her because she's really gotten off scot-free, about sleeping with her son's friend. I mean, she's a predator. And nobody has even talked in this day and age of Me Too and all of this, these people coming out talking about being taken advantage of. And here he was one, her son's friend. Then number two, he was there for mental health issues and a drug addiction, alcohol addiction. She took advantage of him in one of his most vulnerable times, and nobody, not in Hollywood, not anywhere, have said anything about it.
But wait a minute, I don't want to rehash that entanglement. But where are Jada and Will some kind of therapist anyway? What did he go to them for therapy?
You see how she comes across? She's supposed to be some shaman. She does come. They were older.
They were mentors. This young man.
So how some people provide like a safe haven for people who are crazy. Like that was supposed to be like, oh, come over here, we'll take care of you. Get down here and give me some. Give me some love in here,
And next thing you know, he's they're trying to get him sober, and she's sleeping with him in the bed.
Well, maybe I missed it, but I heard him before he got into Jada. He went in on Will. He called. And the funny part about it is it was everybody else calling him a bitch, but him. Well, this person said after that you were a B, and so did they, and then they agreed and they chimed in, and everybody said you a B. It was like that. To me, was one of the funniest parts, because he called them a B without him saying it. It was like, the votes are in. We done tallied it all up, and everybody think that was a real move, So I honestly, I do think, he went in on Jada, but I think he went in even harder on Will. I think maybe everybody's been a little hypersensitive to the Jada stuff. He did call her a B, but again, right to their opinion, and maybe he was trying over and over and over. He did.
Yes, he did. But again, this is a year.
He said he had a concussion, he was living the slap. I don't know. But, he definitely said it. But again, all in comedy, people laugh. And, it was him finally saying something about.
Right.
I think he got more emotional at the end, the last 5 minutes, because you felt it in his soul. He was like, all of that whole year came out in that last 5 minutes because he was ready.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is that enough for you, Shelly? Or you want to talk some more about it? Or
mic drop.
All right. Well, now we are at the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Continue the conversation by checking us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And subscribe. This is a new channel. Poppin' Politics is a new channel, and we want to go viral. And we appreciate your support. If you like what we're doing, not many people are talking like the way we are. We provide a conservative perspective for news and pop culture. So subscribe and share. All right. Again, we are an independent media, and each time you subscribe, it helps make our voice that much stronger. And we are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. Again, check us out on our website at www.popandpoliticslive.com. We look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.